Alright, we've got a farm update. We'll just go through and look at what I got, what's been growing. Got a little bit of sun out, it's been raining non-stop. We get breaks, but it just doesn't dry out enough. And just similar to Sydney, the soil is just constantly wet. But I enjoy going from Sydney to here because you get to see things that aren't in Sydney, and same as here. Getting some nice lookers. And they've grown a bit, and since I've been fertilizing, now going into winter, they're actually still growing a decent amount, which surprises me. If you just keep fertilizing, they just keep growing even through winter. I mean, I suppose it doesn't get as cold as the US or anything, but that's why Trichoceros are sort of just in a league of its own, really. The one thing I am keeping an eye out on though is if the growth is a bit too fleshy, because if it's pumping growth through winter, but it's not good growth, it could easily get fungal problems or just not look good. So this is sort of an experiment this year to just continually fertilize through winter, and if it's good, I'll do it every year. If it's not, then I'll go through dormancy next winter. Or maybe I'll alternate every second winter. So this was the sort of main patch here, and then we've expanded to another area. Here we've got some of the first ones I brought here, which are a bit bigger. I kind of regret bringing too many big ones because they're difficult to keep upright, and I don't have the time and energy to plant all of them. So these ones have been a little neglected. They've been sitting here for a while, weeds growing around them. But I'm showing these to show you what the conditions are here and how they're growing without too much care. And you can see from the humidity, like at home I don't really get too many of these marks and it doesn't look like this. But here on the farm, it's very humid. But then in summer, they get blasted with afternoon sun here. So these were quite yellow. They have recovered quite a lot, but they are still decent. I mean, I think the camera makes them look a bit more yellow, but they are looking a lot better. This guy's still growing. He's actually not too bad. He's real nice. No ID, so not sure what he is. But yeah, a lot of these guys are just getting this black sooty mold or something similar to it. So this gets morning sun, well, a little bit of morning sun, but quite a lot of midday and afternoon sun, which I think they don't necessarily. In winter, it's fine, they can handle that, but in summer it's a bit much. So I got to be careful where I'm positioning them. But they just don't look as good in these positions. They just seem a bit stunted, and not as good as others that get a bit more of that afternoon shade. But anyway, yeah, so these are a bit of the stunted guys. And then we have the nursery, I suppose you can say it, the big area. So under this is just ground, and I tried to flatten it as best I could, just using a shovel and whatever I had at my hand. And it's the flattest area here. Put some tarp over it, and this is what we got. I've made, since the last video, there's a lot more rows now. It's almost full. So I've obviously just got to fill up that area here, bit there. And I might even make the rows a bit more narrow, because I'll just be running out of space soon. So, but yeah, been doing a lot of potting up in my little potting up shed over there. I'll show you that later. But yeah, I suppose we'll just go through them. Got a few of the terscheckii. cannot wait to get some of these boys in the ground. I probably won't do it until they're decent, like probably about here, maybe 1 more season, 2 more seasons growth. But they're looking alright. Another thing I'm realising is things that didn't get fungal problems in Sydney are here, or the ones that were in Sydney are getting it worse here. I am trying to treat with azoxystrobin or copper fungicide and mancozeb, but I'm starting to lean towards just culling and throwing out whatever can't handle it. See that one, that's active there, so I'm probably not going to keep that. Now also, when I go on about fungal problems, like, they're not that bad. You don't have to get rid of the cactus, but I personally, in the end, my end goal is to sell certain things. So I don't want to be selling stuff that has fungal marks on it. I want to be selling pristine cactus. So there's no point in me keeping it unless it's a very unique, it has very unique genetics that I want to breed with. But yeah, so got some tacks there. Crest. This guy is a very vigorous crest, JAC 001 I think it is, or 007 I think, yeah, 007, cross Trojan llama. Trojan llama often gives you quite a lot of crested or mutants. So yeah, it's got a couple spots there of fungal, but other than that, it's not bad. And if you guys have heard about the flooding in mid-coast New South Wales, up near Newcastle and Taree and all that, it's been pretty bad. Like, I am up at a very high level, so there's no chance I'm getting flooded, but I did get all the rain, and so these guys have just been getting rain, like, just soaked pots. So it's a real challenge. Yeah, and I'm very, very surprised about how well and how resilient these guys are. They just take it. They just don't, yeah. Got some oddballs in there, different sort of stuff. This guy went dichotomous for whoever's in, I think it's mammillaria. Alright, and then we'll start over here. So these are some of the earlier stuff that I brought over. Some of this stuff was over at the other pile. And ever since I've been doing the fertilizer, like proper synthetic fertilizer, I still do organics, I still do solid organics. I'm trying to do synthetic fertilizer and an organic fertilizer like go-go juice for microbes. I haven't gotten down pat a full-on schedule yet, but I'm going to start the schedule properly in spring. And I will let you guys know what my schedule is, what I'm using and how much I'm using. But for now, I'm just sort of getting my head around it and to understand what I want out of these guys. And yeah, all these. But yeah, I'm really starting to see some really nice guys. Nice lookers, nice characteristics. I'm very, very excited for this next growing season. I mean, I know we're going into winter, but I'm already excited for next season. So, oh yeah. Got this variegated guy. Really nice colour, I think. Yeah, with all this rain, with the low amount of light, you can see how green they are. I mean, they get less sun on this side and they get more sun on this side, but even on this side, they're still so green due to the rain and the fertilizer I'm giving to them, and they just seem so bloody happy. Minimal marks on them as I'm giving them azoxystrobin, but I did mention before, I can't remember if I did it, if the video was here, but getting that bipolaris. So, you know, a few spots still come up, but because I've been doing regular sprays with azoxystrobin, it hasn't continued as much as it was. Like, all of these cuts are from stuff that had it. It was a really bad outbreak here. See, that's still got it. I honestly probably need to go through and do another cut of infected stuff. And so, you know, lost that pot, lost that pot, lost that pot. You know, dead. Might have one there that'll survive. But yeah, I lost a few, which it's a bit upsetting, but at the same time, you know, it's nature's way of culling and selecting only the best. And it is what it is. Ooh. This guy seems like a vigorous grower to me. And what's that? It's Pacific Jewels cross Zurakabamba or something like that. And just an interesting pup there. Little bug as well. Whatever that is. But yeah, some of these I'm just so bloody excited to see them get bigger. But yeah, a lot of these had to be cut and some died. But yeah, it is what it is. That's the way it goes. That guy's got some unique looking stuff going on. He might be a decent looker getting older in this next season coming. Oh, those spines. Bonnie Chrysocaros. And then we're starting to get to the guys that I've potted up. I don't know if you remember in previous videos, but I had pots that were packed like, you know, they were basically this tall, but there was, you know, 12 of them in one pot. So it had to be done. Which are basically all of these rows are pretty much the stuff that needed to be up potted. And this was done a month ago, 2 months ago, around about that time. And then they got smashed with rain. So probably the worst time to up pot them. Like I said in a previous video, I had some die and I up potted them right before rain and a bunch of those rotted. And that was no good. The only difference this time is I've been spraying with azoxystrobin, which prevents the rotting, and maybe a different soil. And these guys are bigger, so they're a bit more prepared for this kind of stuff. But I would be definitely more adamant to be up potting smaller stuff, even though I did these guys. But they all seem good. All right, let's go down. Oh, look at these crests first. We'll look at these crests. So this guy handled it fairly well. Not really any problems. So I'd be looking at that going, yeah, good resilient genetics. He's dead. Not so good, might survive, who knows. Again, he's got some rotting issues, but he might pull through. And you know, I could probably save a lot of these, and I probably could have saved that one too at one point. But when you've just got so many and so much stuff to do, you just look at it and go, well, if it dies, it dies. Because then it saves you the hassle years later of it rotting. Like if I get this weather again and it just rots again, I'm going through the whole process. So if it can't survive, it can't survive. And that's just what I'm doing right now. But then, you know, I'm left with stronger genetics, stronger stuff that is more resilient against stuff. This guy looks, oh wow. Look at all that stuff going on there. Oh, there's a bit of rot. I was just thinking this guy was pretty good, but he's got a bit of rot going on. Yeah. See, sometimes I'll pull them out and just leave them there. I really should clean it up, but like I said, I'm not bothered. But yeah, I'll put them on the side and then they dry up and maybe they'll root. And then it also gets airflow to this stuff. That's where the problem is. Yeah, I might lose that whole one, but it looks worse on the camera, but it does start to go green again in there. But oh yeah, that's not too bad. Anyway, we'll hope that dries up. This guy's looking alright. Those guys stayed strong, a bit more advanced. Whatever this guy is. We've got some TBMC, always doing some funky stuff. Overall looking a bit ugly, a bit weird, but you always get that cool growth. Love it. And another smaller TBM. See, Cristata. Weird little hand thing there. Alright, we got some oddballs there, all sorts of different sort of cactus. Don't know the names, but I like the look of them. Oh, we got a little, what's going on there? Something's been eating my thing. But then it's also got new shoots at the bottom. I don't know what's going on there. Oh well. Alright, we'll go down both of these. I'll see what's going on here. A lot of these haven't really grown or showing much new growth, or because these were in those pots, like I said, they were packed in so they couldn't show their mature growth. They were stunted on nutrients, stunted on root space, stunted on oxygen to their roots, like all of that stuff. So they just don't show their looks. But even so, when you pull them apart, you can sort of see different sort of traits, and you go, oh well, this one's going to be nice, or oh, this one's not going to turn into anything. You never truly know, but I'm always trying to level up my skills in determining what are good genetics and what are bad genetics. Yeah, I'm just loving the look of these guys. They look awesome. I think they do need a bit more sun though, because they are a touch green, like fleshy sort of dark green, but they don't seem to be having any adverse effects like fungal issues really. I can't see too many, so that's good. Besides the bipolaris, but I mean a lot of these guys aren't getting it, so I'm happy. Yeah, honestly, there's really not much to look at on these guys because, like I said, they're not showing much growth yet, much characteristics, traits and such. But we'll still go through it. What do we got? A variegated guy here. What do we got? Yeah, it could be something nice. Tac cross Thelagonus. Taquimbalensis cross Thelagonus. I think this one's as well. I think I got more of those, or more taquims, and like they were all variegated. I think Lopez. I got it from a guy. He's real good with seeds. This guy's rotting. Yeah. Hopefully those guys pull through. So we get these things out because they create more humidity and trap water. All right. Not too much of a point to go down here, but I'll do it anyway. cool crest. Some of the stuff I've been noticing is Boltwoods. So these ones are Super Pedro cross, what is it, SJ, which I'm not sure what that stands for, but these ones stood out to me. They've got that Super Pedro look, nice and thick. They always seem pretty healthy. This here, that's scars from other spines. And see, if I see a seedling like this that has a bunch of scars but no fungal problems, I'm like, yes, that's what I want, because then you know if they get scratches, then they're most likely going to heal from it, and they can be quite resilient, and that's something that I'm looking for. If they have a bunch of scars but nothing active, that is good. Kind of like that, I'm pretty sure that's corking. I think that was because these guys were so close together, and it was the humidity or no sun or something, and so it's not really active. It's ever since I've potted it, it's stopped, but that tells me that they're decent genetics and they're not gonna get pushed around by fungal problems. We've got these guys. I've got lots of Bridge SEO crosses going. Quite a few Scops, Super Pedros. I got Lance, Lance is the Quarterbentus. Lots of Lance open pollinations, and I'm excited for the Lances. I've grafted a couple of the Lances. They're back in Sydney, and they're looking quite good. And a lot of Boltwood open pollination. And I'm pretty sure the Boltwood has been crossed with a Bridgesii, because a lot of them had that Bridgesii look to them, but they were Boltwood open pollination. So I would assume that it's Boltwood cross Bridgesii of some sort, which is still nice because Boltwood has that thick look, resilience. It's vigorous, and so I'd be quite excited to see that with a bit of Bridgesii traits in it, like bigger spines or more blue. And then there were some Boltwoods that I was seeing that were quite fat, and that surprised me, because a lot of the other Boltwoods were quite obviously crossed with a Bridgesii. So then maybe one of those flowers were pollinated by, maybe a Scopulocola or maybe a Quarterbensis. I'll try and find where it is. Right, so here we got some Boltwoods. So this is one of the fatter Boltwoods that I was potting up. It is still quite small, but it's had that girth about it that made me a little surprised, because this is another Boltwood, but that's got quite long spines, and Boltwood itself doesn't have long spines. Even when it gets to maturity, another Boltwood, and I don't know about you, but to me that's looking like it's crossed with a Bridgesii, because Boltwood itself is a Pachanoi, and that's looking like that's another Boltwood there, and that's looking Bridgesii to me. But then you got this guy, and of course it still could be Bridgesii, and maybe it's just taken the spines from Boltwood, the thickness from Boltwood, and who knows, maybe there's just a little bit of Bridgesii in it. But I'm quite excited to try and get a fatter version of Boltwood out of these crosses. There's a variegated Boltwood. I don't know why I'm obsessed with it, but I am. The clone Boltwood and the offspring, I'm really excited for it. It's so vigorous growing, and I think there's a lot of potential for it. Here's another one. It just seems quite thick, quite sturdy, solid. This camera is killing me. So really excited about those. I'm hoping that this next season I can get him up to about maybe here, especially with at least here with some fertilizer, and we can really see some good genetics out of a lot of these. You know, a lot of these we're going to see. So these next season's videos are going to be long as just being able to see all of these genetics, and yeah, no, I'm very excited. What do we got here? This is no ID, but regardless, it is exciting. Oh, come on. Got these guys. See, there's another Boltwood op. It's quite strong, sturdy, tall, not thick, but compared to the other ones that I was up potting, it is thicker, or you know, yeah. Random stuff over there. So yeah, the plan is fill this up and then make another area, fill that up, and at some point when I get the finances, because don't know when that's going to happen, but at some point when I get the finances, I'm going to get an area specially made for the cactus, just a nursery area that's nice and flat. Yeah. These guys are a genetics or phenotype experiment. So I posted these on my Instagram, I think, and I asked people to guess what they think is going to look the best in a year's time, 2 years' time, whatever. Because at that size, you know, as a nursery, as a hybrid grower or whatever, you have to select what you think's the best looking. So sometimes you have to chuck out stuff that you don't want to chuck out, but you just don't think it's going to be that nice. And so I thought people can decide what they think's nice, and then in a year or so time, I'll post up the results of what they've turned into, and it'll be quite interesting. Alright, and then we got some bigger guys over here. Already showing some nice stuff. See, these are the same cross. TA07 cross TA08. But I will be getting rid of this one, probably selling it, and I'll be keeping this one. Because in my opinion, I like the look of that one better. Even though it's a bit slower, it's thicker, it has more ribs, and I personally think that it looks nicer. And so what's the point of having that one and that one? You know, maybe, yeah, I could cross them and nail down this specific look and get better genetics, because the one thing is, it does have fungal problems, but this one also has fungal problems. This one does have a little less, so that's why I would keep this guy and get rid of this guy. Or maybe if it's got fungal problems, I maybe might just donate it to someone, I don't know. But yeah, keep that, and I'd probably just cross it with something else. Maybe even cross this guy with this one, because he looks quite similar but slightly different traits, but it's got that thickness in it, and that's what I want. I want the nice amount of ribs, the thickness, but I'd rather the coloured spines from this than the yellow from that. But crossing them, you might get something nice out of it. This fat 4-ribbed monster. I'm fully expecting him to just add on a rib soon, but he just doesn't. He's been going 4-ribbed since about down here, and then before then he was mutated. So he's never been growing normally. I mean, technically this is sort of normal, but with 4 ribs, so I don't care. Give me 4 ribs or give me mutations. Either one. Just don't give me five ribs. And then this guy really baffles me. This is Tig cross Lur cross Trent. And he's so damn skinny, and he's got 4 ribs, which is like, oh, so cool, 4 ribs, but like, it just looks like crap. I don't know. And I'm like, oh no, I'll give it a chance, but it's like full thick down there, and it's just getting skinnier and skinnier. So I'm thinking possibly there's something wrong with the soil. I might pot it up in better soil and fertilize it and give it one more chance, but I'd just about throw that thing away because it's doing my head in, just so skinny and not doing anything. Oof. This guy has been catching my eye every time I come. That's how they do it. They just look ordinary like these guys, and then day by day it starts to change and you're like, wait on a second, who are you? And he's even got some pups there to show off. Lovely. Pretty resilient too, not much fungal spots. I can't really see. Yeah, there are a couple active spots over there, but slightly active, but really not much. And it's Lumberjack cross VRG. So no, that's lovely. I really like that one. These guys always catch my eye. Very bright, vigorous growth. JB cross Rose 2. So this will be actually interesting, because JB is a Bruggesii that I have. It's someone else's clone, but it gets quite bumpy, and it can get almost a variegated look when it's in a lot of sun. Kind of like what you can see here in between the aerials. It gets that kind of look. And it's quite bumpy, and so I really like JB. And Rose 2, I mean, most people would know Rose 2, and it's lovely. And a lot of the Rose 2 crosses are always lovely. So I'm very excited for these guys. They're looking quite blue, got beautiful coloured spines like the Rose 2. And the JB should just give it some really notchiness. Not necessarily notchiness, I don't know what you call it, but yeah, it's going to be super nice, I think. And there's 2 of them side by side. It's looking like this guy's going to be the better one. A little bit faster, a little bit fatter. Maybe this guy's just a bit slow, but we'll see. This guy's been catching my eye a little bit. At first it kind of looks ordinary, but it's getting these kind of notches, a bit of blue, and fat and juicy. It's plumped up. Nothing crazy, but I don't know. I think it's only because for years I had these guys and they were very boring looking, but it's actually looking decent. I don't know. Maybe it's just my imagination. What is that guy? Eileen Op. Alright, well my guess is that this is going to start to look nice and it's just not going to go anywhere. But it's looking alright now. So this is some kind of Matakana seed that I bought a while ago, I think. Or maybe it was seedlings that I bought, I can't really remember. This one is no ID, but he's looking decent. If anyone remembers this graft here, oh, I want to break him off. Don't want him. That was the very skinny Bridgesii, and I wanted to graft something like, and this is the Peruvian seed, onto him to see what would happen. And it was very stunted compared to the rest. And it makes sense because it's a Bridgesii, and especially it's very skinny. And it kind of continued that skinny look, although it is starting to fatten up now. So I'm going to continue to leave it through this next season to see if it gets fatter and what the looks are like, because only now it's starting to really show some nice traits. Love this one, it's beautiful, it's nice. What is it again? RG Chilo cross Chilo, or RG1 cross SS Chilo cross RG1 cross LS Chilo. I don't know, it's too confusing. But I like him, but he just has this fungal problem that just does not stop. It's been going ever since down here, and it just keeps on climbing and climbing. And it's also variegated. Where is it? Oh yeah, variegated. I'll go to this side. And it's like decent variegation too. So I'm going to keep him for now. I'll end up just putting him in the ground, let him deal with the fungal problem. Whatever happens, happens. And but my main goal would be just to get some flowers off him to cross. I think this guy'd be awesome to cross with. I don't really want the fungal problems, but I'll have to look into it more. But apparently, stuff that has this, the offspring, may be more prepared to handle against this stuff. So I'll have to look into that. But yeah, can't get over that. Beautiful. Not much else going on. Some fat blue scops. This guy, if anybody remembers, he had this incredibly cool and unique look. It was, I would have put it right next to CSD, like it was just as good as the CSD genetics, because it was like 4 ribs and it had this thing going on all sides, and it was insane. But then it just grew into a basic, so we'll see. And so then we got the shed, and so I got some bags of stuff, got some scoria. I'll also do an update for my soil mix later on, but when I'm ready for that, because I don't want to put out stuff that's I'm not set on yet. But yeah, sort of fill up my mix by hand, pot them up, and yeah, so this is what it's looking like at the moment. I've got my soil, got my perlite. I've been experimenting using a cement mixer, but it's not so great. So, but yeah. All right, and so I'm going to leave it at that. That's just pretty much the update. There are a few other guys that are planted in the ground. I'm really not bothered to go see them right now. They look whatever. They're just in the ground. They're struggling with the environment. They're kind of looking like those taller ones that I showed at the start, sort of. Yeah, they're just sort of adjusting because it's full clay soil, and so they're sort of just acclimating and getting used to the environment. But I'm expecting them to really perk up when spring comes around and this next summer. So but I'll definitely give some updates when they start growing, for sure. Alrighty, see yous.